Hey, what's up, everybody? And thank you for listening to Operation Agency Freedom, where we are bringing you top secret advice from the world's most badass digital agency owners and influencers. These amazing men and women are sharing their stories of how they have built 6, 7, and 8-figure digital agencies and how you can too. My name is Chris Martinez, CEO of Dude, where we help digital agencies by giving them the people and the processes so that they can scale profitably. Today, I am joined by Greg Hickman, founder of Systemly. What's up, Greg? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Great to have you on. I'm super excited because you and I both geek out on like systems and processes and growing agencies. So I can't wait to talk about your amazing story and how you've grown. Well, you have had an agency as well, and then what's going on with Systemly and you helping other agencies to avoid the pitfalls of doing custom projects.
Yeah.
Among many other things. So, but you know, like I told you before, we always start off every show with a little fun roundtable discussion. And I want to talk about something because honestly, I don't know a lot of people from New Jersey. I'm originally from Southern California. As we talked about, I live now in Tijuana, Mexico, which is where our office is located. But New Jersey has, I believe it's got to have a lot of misconceptions, mainly because of the Jersey Shore show that was super popular.
Yeah,
so
unfortunately.
Tell us about what it was like growing up in real New Jersey.
Well, there's definitely, you'll get different opinions on that. Whether you're from, Northern Jersey or Southern Jersey. I mean, if you're Southern Jersey, you're very much like a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and into all things Philly. But if you're like Central Northern, that's where you get like the New York Giants fans, the New York Jets fans. But what I think people don't realize, and maybe they do now, at least I hope they do, and after I say it, they maybe will, is that show, which obviously, a lot of people refer to, and I would say gave New Jersey more of a bad reputation.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you on that.
All of those people, all the actors were from Long Island. It was just set in New Jersey. So it's like they associate those people as people from New Jersey when most of them were from Long Island.
This is going to sound really stupid, but I thought that Long Island was New Jersey. Yeah. So it's Long Island, New York?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm an idiot. Okay, so so in terms of like where you were at, were you in the middle? Were you Southern New Jersey?
Well, I was more northern. Like I was like 25 minutes north of Newark, which was like a 30-minute train ride right into the heart of New York City. So like, people in my town would commute to New York and, work from New York City. Like my friends had parents that would work out of New York City. So very, very close as like a commuter town into the city.
Would you yourself go into New York City? I love New York City, by the way, one of my favorite cities in the world.
Yeah. When I got older, I mean, obviously when I was, in middle school, no, but like, high school, we'd take trips out there for sure. And then, after I graduated college, I was in I was in Connecticut for a little while. Mm-hmm. And we'd go into New York all the time.
That's awesome.
The tri-state, man. It's the tri-state. It basically is all the same.
So, I mean, in terms of some of those stereotypes about New Jersey, like the accent, you don't have an accent, by the way. So the accent, the guys who are like, muscle heads, the women wearing too much makeup, all these things that you see on TV.
You definitely do see that at the shore though. Like, I mean, you see all of that at the shore. So everything, if we base it on the show, 100%, that is what you would see in that part of the shore. I mean, that's also just one piece of one small chunk of the entire shore. And the shoreline goes a lot further south, beyond Atlantic City. And there's, just normal places that you wouldn't even realize were New Jersey if you were there.
So what were some of your favorite childhood memories being in New Jersey? Like, what were the favorite things that you used to do when you were like a kid?
Yeah. I mean, we went to a lot of my dad growing up. We had season tickets for a little while to the New Jersey Devils. So we'd go see Devils games a lot. Um,
That's ice
I'm a
hockey
huge
for
New
the
York
people that.
Giants fan, so we'd go. Yeah, for ice hockey for all the people in the that aren't near ice. um, we we're huge New York Giants fans, so going to a lot of sports. Um, but yeah, I mean, we did. I have one of my best friends to this day. He actually had a house in Seaside Heights, which is like, I guess, a separate piece of Seaside Park. Seaside Park was where the boardwalk is, where the show was, and Seaside
Okay.
Heights is like you go down there for the beat over the summer. I'd stay there for a week with him. We'd go like bodyboarding. We would go to the boardwalk, when you're young, trying to like pick up girls, all
Nice.
that sort of stuff. Like, so, I mean, I have tons of fond memories of just like going down to the beach and like, having fun there before all of the debauchery of the show kind of came through.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I don't know if you remember the movie Garden State. It was one of my favorite movies too, and that was set in New
Yeah.
Jersey. Like the other.
I've partied in that house.
No way. How is that
Yeah.
possible? Is it like a party mansion that people would rent out or something?
No, they just rented like a friend of a friend. It was a friend of a friend's house, and they basically rented it out for the movie.
Wow. Interesting. If I ever make it out to New Jersey, I'm going to have to see if I can go to that spot. That was one of my favorite movies of that time period. I think it was like
movie.
mid 2000s or something like that.
Yeah. I don't
Awesome.
know. Was it even was it 2000s? Yeah, probably was.
I don't know. I'm old, man. So let's get into the reason why we're all here, and that's to talk about Systemly as well as your background. So tell us about, how you got started in digital marketing.
I mean, out of college, I went right into an agency that was a part of the Omnicom family. It was called Tracy Locke.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for like 2 years. Got thrown into like project management, and we did a lot of in-store shopper marketing for like Pepsi, Unilever. So I had, working on big brand initiatives, multi-channel. At least as it related to the in-store component, like all different partners, the Walmarts, the Krogers, all of that stuff was what I worked on for a while, and then moved into the Lipton team for a little while as well. So I started kind of seeing, within that, Tracy Locke often operated as like the agency of record for a lot of things. So we'd work with a lot of the other Omnicom partner agencies through media and other digital initiatives. So kind of like right out of the gates, I felt like I saw pretty much like the whole spectrum of like a brand initiative, even down to like specific campaigns in store get executed. And as a project manager, you're the one kind of internal agency dealing with the creative team, the account team, the production team, legal team, all of those things. So I got a really good grasp of like how agencies operate, but then also how they operate interacting with a client, especially a big client. And when I went on the Lipton team, I became account side. So then I got client facing experience. So right out of the gate, that was like my digital experience. And then from there, I actually left and went to a small boutique shop. There was 8 of us, and we represented a big division of AT&T, but then also a handful of professional sports teams. And this is where I got into mobile marketing, pre-iPhone, mind you, like multiple years before iPhone. And we were doing like text message marketing for the New York Jets, the Carolina Panthers, like helping them build out databases of mobile numbers and like send out score alerts and new like player information all through text message. And so when I was at that agency when the iPhone came out and apps started becoming a thing. So I quickly in my journey like leaned into the whole mobile thing. Once the iPhone, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be huge. And so for the next decade, I was pretty much focused on like mobile within digital, and was there for a while. Had my own like SaaS startup consulting company for a little bit in the mobile space. Went to a media company representing shopping centers. And then before I started my own thing, I ended on the client side. So it kind of like put a nice bow on, all right, I'm built out the mobile division of Cabela's, which was a large retailer bought out by Bass Pro Shop not too long ago. And I had to like define the mobile strategy, build out the team, and obviously interact with email, search, and all those other teams. And we hired a lot of agencies, both big consultancies, and also because of my connections, I was able to bring in a couple boutique shops that helped us build out our mobile web experience and a mobile application, and doing some really cool stuff with like location technology. So like from being on agency side, but then also having to be hiring agencies, like I feel like I just had a really interesting perspective on like, all right, now that I am an agency, how do I package my stuff in a way that like my clients are going to want, and which kind of leads to some of the stuff that I do now. But full spectrum, that was the kind of high level journey.
So what was the motivating factor to get you to say, you know what, I want to go out and I want to start my own agency? What was like the tipping point?
Yeah. So at first it was not an agency. While I was before Cabela's, the company before Cabela's I was at for 3 years. That's kind of when I started like following people like Pat Flynn and, at the time, Internet Business Mastery, and like started learning about this online entrepreneurship thing. And so I started a blog and a podcast on mobile because I hadn't seen anyone doing it. And so I thought I was going to start like selling courses and doing that whole thing in the mobile space. So I was going to all of those events and making those sorts of connections. So at the time, I didn't think it was going to be an agency, and I didn't think that, I just did. And I didn't think it would be like where it is now. It's, I just thought I was going to be, trying to be like an info marketer, like helping smaller businesses capitalize on mobile. And it just, while I did leave, when I left corporate, that's what I did for a couple of years before having to figure out what Systemly was going to be. Like that was a whole pivot that just kind of came out of almost nowhere, really. But I say out of nowhere, but really it was out of desperation, because I needed to do something different because what I was doing wasn't working. So it was like started on the side. I was generating some money. The podcast and the blog, brought in some consulting gigs. And then when I went out on my own, it was more of like a marketing service, like text message marketing for independent retail companies. And so I was managing a lot of campaigns for them. So, I mean, it was a very small shop. There was a couple people, but that was, I just always felt like in my days at agency and in corporate, it kind of like sealed the deal when at Cabela's, when like I had all of these grandiose visions and that was why they hired me. But, getting anything live was, outside of what we did get live, was like, steering the Titanic, because it's this like family run company, age old, still figuring out, it's a catalog company. So trying to get them to move quickly was really hard. And it's just, I didn't like not seeing things get launched.
So you have the epiphany that Systemly is the new direction for Systemly. So tell us about what it is that you guys are working on now and how you're helping all the other agencies that are out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially we're helping agencies do what we did, which was transition from, done for you services that were primarily custom and unique every single time into, I've been using the term productized services, but really what a lot of our clients are transitioning to and or adding on is like a group coaching or a group consulting element to their business that complements the done for you service. Yeah. So we've had, ourselves included, we were able to replace and surpass our done for you service revenue with a group consulting program that essentially delivered the exact same result that our done for you service did in a more affordable and actually more efficient way and more profitable way. So many of our clients come in like they are too unique that they kind of need to go through a few iterations, but we basically take them through a step-by-step process to launch their first group one-to-many offering and get the first 5 to 10 clients in 90 days. And then once they've validated that through that experience, we go on and we help them install a lot of like the sales, marketing, and delivery systems and automation that make that run more predictably and repeatably and like duplicatable. So it's really right now, it's kind of turned into a training and education business but training agencies how to kind of evolve and transform into this, what I call a hybrid agency.
I love that. So can you give us an example? So like of this creating the one-to-many
Yeah.
product offering, like what does that look like?
Yeah. And honestly, it looks slightly different for a lot of people, depending upon what skill set they have. I'll give you an example of us and then a client. For us, we were, when we were doing all the Infusionsoft stuff, we did, if Infusionsoft was in the sentence, we would, migrate to people to Infusionsoft. We do onboarding campaigns, webinar funnels, evergreen webinar funnels, Jeff Walker style launch funnels, all that stuff. And we realized that there was like an 80-20 of what we were doing and what people wanted. And that was webinars. And so we created a package that literally just delivered on like what we found to be like the go-to webinar formula. We knew exactly how many emails went out before the webinar, how many after. Here's how you segment. And people came and they're like, we want this. I'm like, all right, well, this is how we're going to do it. And like, this is how many emails I'm going to need from you. This is how many emails I'm going to need from on the back end. And so like, we basically directed them on how to basically gave them sample copy and sample landing pages, and they created all of those pieces and we just assembled it. But they went through our model, our framework. It wasn't, oh, I want to do 3 emails here. It was like, nope, it's 5 there. It's 7 here. This is how we segment. And over time, you kind of have a couple slight variations based on what you've seen, but we made it pretty documented so that, I could sell someone and then the team went and did it. So that was version 1. And what we noticed in just doing that was when we did stuff custom and it created a lot of back and forth, we could only really manage like a small handful of clients at a time because you couldn't really dictate when someone would get something back to you or when there would be like a fire drill of some sort. But when we pivoted it to like, hey, here's how our process works. You have to do all of this before we even start our work. And then it's done in 7 days. We were able to onboard like 2 to 3 times as many clients at the exact same time, which thus 2 to 3x our revenue. And it was very predictable on like when we would get stuff back and, who did what on our team. And so that was still, it was productized. It was one to many kind of to us, but to the client, they were still interacting with us fairly one-on-one.
Yeah.
What we realized then was, it'd take forever to get us the copy. And, we worked with online influencers. So a lot of times they either wrote their own copy or they had a copywriter. We never had to offer that, thankfully. So we were never like full service, like that sort of full service. Like it was full service because we did a lot of things for them, but not every element of a funnel. So what we realized, like we do our piece and like literally in one case, a year later, they came back with the copy and they're like, we're ready to go. But we decided that we want this different funnel now. And we're like, you already paid us in full a year ago. And now you're trying to change the scope of work. Like, no, like you already signed the agreement on this. And so what we realized was our job was done 14 days into the agreement. The only thing that was missing was the copy. And we're like, why don't we just show them how to put the copy in? Like it's literally copy and paste. So that we created training around, hey, like here's the handoff. Like this is the handoff happens here. You can finish your copy whenever you want. All you gotta do is copy and paste. And when you hit publish on that campaign, like we will review it 30 days after to tweak anything that broke. And so it really just allowed us to like, again, take on more clients. And then once we did that and we saw how much they were willing to do those things, we're like, well, why don't we see if they'll do a little bit more? And like, we just kept adding training and templates and resources. And at that point I was like, okay, well now they want to understand the methodology. And that's when we just started teaching it. So we launched a couple cohorts of, look, we're going to show you the methodology of how to create your webinar, how to structure it, the automation, the emails and all that stuff. And then that was kind of version 1 of the coaching program. An example from one of our clients, Tim, he has an agency that serves nonprofits. Historically, they'll do anything marketing strategy for nonprofits. Really high revenue, but almost zero profit in some years, not much to show for it and travel a lot. And one thing that we did with him was, look at that 80-20, the thing that most of the clients come in for, that he's like an expert at, and he's really good at getting nonprofits to increase the amount of donations and like fundraising donations generated without having to get new donors. So like harvesting your existing donor list and like really getting money from this, but it was all in his head. And so we helped him put that process into an 8-week program where he delivered it, and he'll bring in 8 to 12 people through it at a time. And it's all pre-recorded, and he's just there to answer questions like templates, do this, send this email, enter your info in this calculator. And like, now you know what to say and what to do. And it's very like choreographed. It's like an engineered experience. And he sells that as his front end offering. It's like, you can't get into my agency unless you go through this.
Yeah.
And what we've seen when people add it on the front end is because you kind of go through this choreography of like, here's how we do work, here's how you engage with us, versus, hey, here's a proposal, you can cherry pick it. You're in control, Mr. or Mrs. Client. Like, you're in control from the get-go. And all the clients, which 65% of his clients now enroll in his agency on the back end, like for ongoing services. And what he's noticed is his ongoing services has turned into, just because of how they've been trained through that front end experience, they only ask for guidance.
Yeah.
And so like they're paying like $3,000 a month for year-long contracts. And it really takes like 1 30-minute call a month. And like, he's put them in a community together, and now they're all sharing ideas. And it became this group experience that it's like he trained them to be better clients. So like his profitability on the back end has become even more powerful because he trained them on the front end. So there's a lot of benefits to it, but those are just kind of a couple examples.
Yeah,
was that helpful?
No, that's freaking awesome. As we were chatting about before, like I'm doing a talk this weekend, and one of those things is all the the whole topic that I'm speaking on is bottlenecks and how to fix them within agencies. And so like all the things that you talked about with those custom projects, it's like insane. And if you relate it to any other business, actually one of the example or analogies that I'm going to be giving is that like, imagine if you walked into a restaurant and instead of the restaurant handing you a menu, they say, what are you looking to eat? And you just say, I'm hungry, just bring me food. And you're constantly just trying to figure it out, every single time. And then once you figure out what it is that they want, you're like, oh, well, I want fewer tomatoes. And so then the server has to run back to the kitchen. They have to change everything up, bring it back out to you like, oh, wait, that's too few tomatoes. Go back to the kitchen. And that's how so many agencies operate, right? Like just completely catering to each individual project without any systems and processes in place, as opposed to starting from point A, delivering what you believe is going to be the best option for the client, and then making small tweaks and changes as you go, small ones. But at the end of the day, you, the agency, are in control of those deliverables.
Totally.
I love that, man.
Yeah. I think where I think a lot of agencies struggle, and I don't think look, the reality is most of us that started agencies, like we were technicians first. It's like the true E-Myth story. We were good at like building a website or doing whatever the thing was. And we didn't know where the next client was coming from. So when the current client said they want more help, we're like, with what? And they threw out whatever service, whatever thing they need help with, like all of a sudden we're like, well, we could figure that out.
Yeah, we can do that.
So our service menu begins to grow. And it's like, really, if you like, I look at most agency owners, they're not good at everything. Like they're good at one thing and they don't even do that thing that much anymore. And it's like, that's what they loved doing, but they were just desperate because they didn't have other acquisition systems to get clients. So like they were spending too much time trying to keep the money they had because they didn't know where the next money was coming from. And if they just gone after something that was similar to what they had done, they probably wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. So like, that's what we see a lot. And so what ends up happening, sort of the example that you gave, that restaurant, how I look at it is, look, every time, and I actually use the example of Chipotle, and I say, build your business like design your business like as if it were Chipotle. And what I mean by that is, like, think of yourself as if your agency as like Chipotle, right? You walk into Chipotle, there's like 4 options. There's a burrito, like a fajita, burrito, quesadilla, burrito bowl. And I think they just like
salad.
Just recently launched like sofritas or whatever the heck. salad.
Salad.
And so like, and that was, first of all, they're one of the only profitable, quick serve restaurants, right? Like, I believe all self-funded. And if you go in, like, no matter whatever you order, process using the exact same people. And so my analogy is like, look, if that's your agency, right? And you could take someone through the same process using the same people and really using the exact same ingredients, deliver 1 to 3 outcomes that are essentially the same thing, just a different wrapper, a different delivery modality. You have a more infinitely scalable business. But imagine they had to go run out the back door and down the street to go grab a new ingredient. I'd argue that if the second they do that, or the second they have to go get a new person, that is a new business. It's not a new service. It's not a new offer. It is a new business entirely. It's new ingredients. It's new process. It's new people. And so that's where things start going wrong. I think a lot of times agencies, really many of them, are like just an umbrella of a bunch of tiny little mini businesses that all of which are not really that successful or streamlined. And that's why nothing's predictable, because it's unique. It's a new business every time you get a new client, right? And that's the problem. Whereas like with what we teach, like, hey, say you do webinar funnels. Well, you can sell done for you webinar funnels. I can sell done with you webinar funnels. I can sell DIY webinar funnels. The end result, no matter how you engage with me, is going to be the exact same. The speed's going to look a little different. Who's doing the work is going to look a little different. But the process is the same. The ingredients are the same. But the price point is different, right? Because like we have different ways of delivering it. And that has allowed us to work with a wider range of clients, because not everybody has the budgets that we all would love people to pay for the done for you piece. And I do think in many ways, most agencies, the done for you piece is the commodity. Like the labor, I always say, like the hands to the keyboard, that's the affordable. Like many of you are being hired for that, period. When maybe the first 3 months you were hired for this, and you want more of that, right? You don't want to continue being in this. So I think, like, how do you think about your outcomes, like the deliverables that you create, simplify those so that you can deliver one outcome in like 3 to 4 different wrappers.
I love this,
like
man.
Chipotle.
Awesome. And you're making me crave Chipotle.
I know. I had it yesterday. I could eat it every day.
I mean, and it's like one of those things that it's ready in like literally like 3 minutes. Like it takes no time.
And if you use the app, you can just have it delivered and or just go pick it up and it's ready.
Oh my God. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much, Greg. We are out of time. So what is the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Yeah, I'd say on Facebook, pretty active there. Just Greg Hickman, you'll see my face. And, pretty active on my personal profile. We have a private group as well, which you'll find off of there. But yeah, where you can connect with me, private message me, whatever. We're going, the reason I say that is because we're about to go through a rebrand. So, Systemly will not exist.
Interesting. Okay.
As it is now.
Okay, cool.
So I don't want to direct you to that URL because I'm not 100% sure where it'll take you at that point. So connect with me right now on Facebook. I'm pretty easy to engage with.
Awesome. And who would be the perfect person to reach out to you today?
I mean, if you're I'd say an agency owner stuck between 10 and 50K a month, and you're very interested in not pursuing the traditional agency model, like you're tired of, X one new client equals X new people, and you're done playing that game and you want something more profitable designed to serve your life, then definitely reach out. We can help you package that expertise into a group program and we can get you your first clients in 90 days.
And that's awesome. All right. To all of our listeners, thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure you return next Thursday and every Thursday for the next episode of Operation Agency Freedom. Thanks, guys.